Hi, hello, dear students. Welcome to this video. I am your Ravi sir. In my last video, you studied deeply about what is sentence, what is subject, what is predicate, and types of sentences on the basis of function. But in this video, you are going to study types of sentences on the basis of structure. Those are simple, compound, complex sentences. Before going on to study simple, compound, complex sentences, we must have the basic important things. Those are what is clause, types of clause, independent or main clause, dependent or subordinate clause, which was divided into three subcategories: relative or adjective clause, adverb clause, or and noun clause. Before going to watch this video, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon button to get new videos notifications. Let's begin with clause. Clause means, in simple word, subject plus verb. It is called as clause. Let us see in detail what is clause. A clause is a combination of words within a sentence that is comprised of a subject and a predicate. A clause can be an independent clause or it can be a dependent clause within another sentence. In its simplest form, a clause in grammar is a subject plus a verb. The subject is the entity doing the action of the sentence and the verb is the action that subject completes. A clause creates a complete thought. A complete thought is also called a main clause or independent clause. Examples of clauses: Rahul ran. Complete thought. It is called as an independent clause. He went to market. It gives complete thought. That's why it is also called as independent clause or main clause. Let us see types of clauses. There are two main types: independent or main clause, dependent or subordinate clause. But dependent or subordinate clause divided into three subcategories. Those are relative or adjective clause, second one adverb clause, third one noun clause. Independent or main clause. What is an independent or main clause? An independent clause expresses a complete thought. It contains subject and verb. It may also include modifiers and a verb predicate. It stands alone as a sentence. Independent clauses can be joined by using semicolon or by using a comma followed by a coordinating conjunction: and, but, for, or, nor, so, at, etc. Examples: I drink. I drink milk in the morning. We did not play football, but we played hockey. So these are the examples for independent or main clause. In the first one, second sentence, there are one independent clauses. In the third sentence, we did not play football. This is one independent clause, and another one, we played hockey. This one is also independent clause. In this third example, two independent clauses are there. Dependent or subordinate clause. Let us see what is called dependent or subordinate clause, or how it is, and how we can find out it is dependent or subordinate clause easily. We can find out easily through these four important points. It cannot stand alone. Second point, it depends on another clause to make it a complete sentence. It starts with a subordinate conjunction. A dependent clause uses words like because, before, after, since, although, though, and in order to, etc. Types of dependent clause. There are three types, already we discussed three main types of dependent or subordinate clause. Let us begin with relative types of dependent clause once again. Relative or adjective clause, first one, second one adverb clause, third one noun clause. Relative or adjective clause. First one, it modifies a noun or pronoun. Second one, it tells which one or what kind. Third point, to find out relative or adjective clause. An adjective clause generally begins with a relative pronoun, that, which, who, whom, whose. Fourth point, adjective clauses can also start with the relative adverbs where, when, and why. Examples: these are the people who are working in the field. Who is the subject of the dependent clause. Here, who are working in the field. This is relative or adjective clause which was called as dependent clause. Those are the people for whom I helped in the field. Here, whom is the object of the preposition. For whom I helped in the field, it is called as relative or adjective clause which was called as dependent clause. Adverb clause, second one. An adverb clause is a subordinate clause. It describes a verb, an adverb, or an adjective. Third point, an adverb clause tells when, where, how, why, to what extent, or under what conditions something happened. Fourth point, an adverb clause begins with a subordinating conjunction. Usually, a subordinating conjunction introduces a subordinate clause, although it may begin with a relative pronoun such as who, whose, whom, which, that, or what, or a relative adverb such as when, where, or why. Subordinating conjunctions. First one, time. After, as soon as, before, since, until, when, whenever, while. Second point, place. Where, wherever, anywhere, everywhere. Third one, manner. As if, as though. Fourth one, cause. As, because, in, as much, as, since, so that. Fifth one, concession. Although, even though, while. Sixth one, condition. If, then, unless. Seventh, result, so that, such that. Eighth one, reason, because, since, as given. Ninth, purpose, in order to, so that, in order, that, in case. So these are the 9 important subordinating conjunctions. Noun clause. A noun clause is a dependent clause that acts as a noun. Noun clauses begin with words such as how, that, what, whatever, when, where, whether, which, whichever, who, whoever, whom, whomever, and why. Noun clauses can act as subjects, direct objects, indirect objects, predicate, nominatives, or objects of a preposition. Examples: you can give whomever you like. Whomever you like, it is noun clause. This is the book which I bought yesterday. Which I bought yesterday, it is noun clause. Do you understand what is the main reason? What is the main reason? This is noun clause. It means dependent clause. Do you understand? That is independent clause. In these three examples, red italicized words, sentences are called as dependent clause, and the other sentences are an independent clauses or main clause. Now in this chart you are going to identify simply simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, compound complex sentences structures. First one, simple sentence. It contained an independent clause. One independent clause. Example, I don't know. Compound sentence. two or more independent clauses. That is called as compound sentence. Example, I don't know and I did not solve it. Usually, compound sentence contain minimum two or more than two clauses. In this example, I don't know, this is one in an independent clause, and another one independent clause is I did not solve it. In the complex sentence, one independent clause, one or more dependent clauses. For examples, I don't know how to solve it. Here, I don't know, this is one independent clause, and how to solve it, it is dependent clause. Next, compound complex sentence. Two or more independent clauses, one or more dependent clauses. Example, I don't know how to solve it, but it was solved by Sham. In this sentence, I don't know, this is one independent clause, and it was solved by Sham. This is also one independent clause. And how to solve it, this is dependent clause. Let us see simple sentence. A simple sentence must have a single clause which is an independent clause. Second point, no dependent clause. Third one, no subordinate conjunction. Examples, on hearing the song, Columbus was furious. She likes to sing a song. I go to market. He visited today. Compound sentence. A compound sentence must have more than one independent clause. Second point, no dependent clauses. Third point, some specific conjunctions. You can remember them using the acronym FANBOYS: for, and, nor, but, or, at, so. Punctuation or both are used to join together these clauses. Fourth point, basically a compound sentence contains two simple sentences or more than two. Examples, he is a writer and he writes stories. Here, he is a writer, this is an independent clause, and another independent clause is he writes stories. Rahul went to market, this is one independent clause, and another one is I worked in the house. Third example, you can either come with me now or walk home. So this sentence also contained two independent clauses. And fourth example, he went for a walk but now he is in the market. This sentence also contained two independent clauses. Fifth one, my brother is tired, so he must be upset. My brother is tired, this is one independent clause, so he must be upset. This one also an independent clauses. A compound sentence, it can contain two or more than two independent clauses. Complex sentence. A sentence that has one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses, it is called a complex sentence. A complex sentence always has a subordinator as, because, since, after, although, when, or relative pronouns who, what, that, which. I don't care how you settle it. The given sentence has a main clause I don't care and a subordinate clause is you settle it, how you settle it. Second example, I visited Jaipur last month, which is known as Pink City. So which is known as Pink City, it is an dependent clause. I visited Jaipur last month, this is an independent clause. Third example, I don't care, this is an independent clause. How expensive it is, this is dependent clause. He is Sanju who gave a nice speech. I will help you if you help me. Compound complex sentence. A compound complex sentence or complex compound sentence is a mixture of the features of compound and complex sentences in one sentence. Second point, it contained at least two independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. Examples: when I was doing my homework, my sister worked in the garden and my mother cooked in the dinner. It contained two independent clauses. My sister worked in the garden and my mother cooked in the dinner. These two sentences are an independent clauses. And when I was doing my homework, this is dependent clause. She likes to sleep in but she can get up early. These are the two independent clauses. And if she has work, this is dependent clause. Third example, usually I take a walk every day. This is an independent clause. While the sun sets, this is dependent clause. But it was raining today, this is an independent clause. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much.